was lots of moments where,
Yeah.
like that's exactly why we did that thing. So you remember day one, we went through expectations. So we had like 11 different things, like you can do this and it's okay to do this and it's fine to do that kind of stuff. And one of the things that we said was, it's okay in the breaks not to be social. And one of my favourite moments with you at ABC was coming into the training room and just seeing you right at the back with your headphones on, looking in that break time and going, that's exactly why we said it. So you don't feel that pressure like you have to come and be with people. Just knowing intuitively that.
Yeah, because I'm usually I engage with people and I want to chat with them, but then sometimes I'm kind of like, nah, I'm tired. I really want to have my own space. I don't have the enough space in my brain right now to take in more input. I just want my alone time. And so that day, I was like, it's okay to do this. I'm going to go sit at the back and just be by myself and just have my headphones in, take some space, and I don't have to, they understand here that, we're fluid people, we can be social some days and then need space the others, and, things can overstimulate us and then we need breaks, and that's okay.
There's no expectation of being on all the time.
Yeah.
You know what's something that actually was really good that I found on, while we were filming? Usually sometimes I hate going up to someone and asking, for help. Yeah. And Tom and Emma made it so clear that I can go up to them, and if I needed help, they will help me. I remember I just asked if I could get water, and Tom went on a mission looking for water for me.
You know what's great? I don't think any of us realised the power we had as talent until Tom told us in the lift, you can ask for any kind of food you want and they have to get it for you. You guys are the stars.
It was so good. We're like, oh yeah, we are.
We are the stars. And then it would be there.
It's interesting, it's hard to see, but when you see the interviews, everybody's watching either the person asking the question or the celebrity. But what you'll see is Emma and I are watching you guys.
Yeah.
And Helen noticed this. She said, you're actually spending your time watching all of you guys.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's our job here, isn't it? We're just, again, watching for any signs of discomfort or anything like that.
Yeah.
If you need an out, you need to take a break. And there were a few moments where people did, that there was moments where you're like, I think I need to go to the quiet room right now.
And you would notice, and it was good because then you didn't have to kind of take up that quiet resting space of taking them out of the room by asking them what happened, because you'd be watching everything, or you hear something and instantly look at the person that you were like, oh, that's going to overstimulate, and then you look at them and kind of be like, or you just watch and be like, they're okay.
Yeah.
All right, they took that well, know that.
Yeah,
which is really nice.
Wanted to ask you guys if it made a difference having Emma there. So you've actually got an autistic person front and center as part of the support team. Does that make a difference?
I was actually, next week we've got the panel to watch one of the episodes of The Assembly with Bill Shorten and a few other kind of experts in autism. And Lee was like, oh hey, I'm thinking of asking you there what it was like working in this in the assembly, and what it was like with the help. And I honestly feel like workplaces, especially because that meeting is for managers and people in businesses, big companies, to understand what they need to do for people who are neurodivergent. And I think that we do need to have, on that HR team, they've got enough money, have a neurodivergent person. Have somebody who is autistic or, neurodiverse, and have them there so that that's so helpful, because what was helpful was that, you and Emma would watch and, come and ask us questions or see if we're okay, and a normal manager just can't do that. You can kind of, I'm doing this internship, not to, and it is really nice, but they've obviously been, told about autism, but they don't think they still kind of understand autism, and so, they were like, oh, those rooms, did they show you the rooms, the rooms around, so you can go, if you need a break, and it's I don't generally need a break unless there's triggers. If I'm just sitting there and I'm kind of I don't know what I'm doing, that doesn't mean I need a break. That just means I don't know what I'm doing on this computer right now. Yeah. And so it's kind of weird to get prompted to go to a quiet room if I need it when I don't need it. And that's because they don't understand that kind of. Yeah. And so I felt like it was really useful just having you guys super aware of it and understanding.
Yeah. The very first thing we did was actually did training for the whole of the crew, including Lee.
Oh, yeah.
So that was my colleague Beck, who's autistic, and I did training for everybody, and they recorded it, and they made sure that everybody watched it. And we try to make it more specific to the show. So, you know, when we talk about sensory stuff, obviously we're talking about if you're coming to mic somebody up, this is a potentially problematic area.
Yeah.
You have to do it in a very sensitive way. You need to let people know what you're going to do. You have to ask for permission.
Yeah.
And I think all of that stuff went well.
Yeah. I mean, like, the whole miking and the sound thing can be really kind of awkward, but I think they did a really good job at making things not weird and awkward.
Yeah.
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 And they were very nice and respectful and kind of
that's good.
Yeah.
So I've got a question for you, Tom.
Yep.
You know, about providing supports. You know, since every person is different, how did you try and make sure there was a balance for everyone? Because, you know, since some people, you know, don't mind lights, but some people do, how did you try and find that balance between everyone?
I think there's a sweet spot. So we try and make everything universally okay. So nobody, like this room now that we're in, nobody's asked to turn the lights on. Because mostly places are overlit. And I think...
Yeah.
Can we get rid of the sun?
Wouldn't autism be great if you could actually just change the world around you, go off, done.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a lot of what we do in this world. Like every set that you guys were on, we'd been in there beforehand talking about, can we turn that down? Can we make it less busy? It needs to be clearer. People need somewhere to be safe. So your corner, day one, we made sure everybody had a seat and a place that they could call their own and feel safe.
Yeah.
Again, everybody, the lockers, again, that was that idea that
was nice.
you need something that you can feel like your belongings are safe, you can go to and things like that. So, you know, there's little bits that we would always do like that is a little bit just like trying to manage all of those things. But I think within that though, so you try and make everything within that kind of Goldilocks rule, not too hot, not too cold, not too bright, not too dim. But then after that, it's just about listening and working with individuals. So, like I mentioned, Andrew and the clapping, that was one of the things that he learned to say, yes, actually, this is a bit too much for me. So after that, we would go, okay, it's okay to clap, but let's do it kind of more gently.
I love how that made the show, the fairy claps we ended up doing.
Yes. So that's the idea. I think just at university, try and get everything right. And then within that, just listen to individuals and then fine tune along the way.
This is something we don't normally have.
So one of the things that we really wanted to do was try and remove as much uncertainty as possible. So, you know, like a lot of what we did every morning was like, here's the agenda for the day. And at the end of the day, it's like, this is what's happening tomorrow. To try and take that guesswork out, to try and make the pretty unpredictable stuff at least a little bit more predictable. With the idea, being that the less you have to worry about that stuff, the more that you can focus on just being a journalist.
Yeah, I thought the visual guides and all that were quite fun. I like that.
Yes. So again, part of the model we have is that we try and get information to people before things happen. So day one before Macquarie, here's a guide, here's some pictures of the place, this is roughly what it's going to look like, that's what we're going to do. Again, we did one for the ABC. All of that stuff as much as possible, again, as part of what we did, is just kind of behind the scenes, getting good information to people. And kudos to Mel. We worked on this a lot. She would draft something, she'd send it to me, I'd talk to Emma, we'd flesh it out a bit, we'd send it back, and then we'd get it out. The other thing I think just for Helium is that everything that we asked for, they were like, okay, let's make this happen. So we're like, can we have a quiet room? And they're, let's have two. So, you know, they were really on board with this. And I think you used the quiet room a few times. And you know, obviously other people need it more. But I guess that's the whole point, hey, when you have a diverse group.
It's a spectrum.
It's a spectrum, And I think like 90% of what you do, good practice is the upfront stuff, but inevitably things will go wrong. Do you remember that there was an incident, I think, the dress thing where Savannah had to change because it didn't kind of work properly. And that's one of the hardest things. Hey, you've got a plan and then your plans have to change.
There wasn't continuity.
But the fact, I think, that we acknowledged that was a mistake that we had made. We were clear about the expectations. We had a quiet space to go. We had a good relationship built up so she could trust us. So even when things did go wrong, we were able to work through them reasonably easily because of all the work that we'd done kind of in place. And even just, Record Tom, like the whole reason that's a thing is because I wanted to introduce myself in a way that you could connect with me. So it wasn't just this abstract person. I wanted, you guys are really good at sharing your passions and interests. I wanted to do the same, and it enables that connection. It's just become And I think having two of us there was good because I know like certain people connect better with other people. I know Evie and Emma have a very tight bond, and I think that they've had lots of shared experiences in the past as well.
They both have blue hair.
They change their hair all the time, different colours and shapes and things like that. Yes.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm most proud of that you guys did was that self-advocacy bit. It's just coming from a situation where nobody knew each other. People were a little bit nervous, and Emma Blue and I wanted to really let you guys know that you had a right to advocate. You know, if something isn't working, you should tell us, and if you tell us, we will change it. So that's why whenever you did ask for something, we made a big thing about trying to make it happen, because it's important that you realise that it's not just you saying it, that actually we are a role model to everybody, that you need to then do something about that.
And what I noticed as well was you and Emma were supporting each other as well.
Yes.
A lot of you two supporting each other as well.
You did.
And you could tell that you two were very good friends.
Yes, Emma and I've probably learned more about autism travelling with Emma than I have over 10 years of reading books and things like that. Just being with somebody, you learn a lot. Yeah, absolutely. And Emma's very generous and very skilled in terms of teaching me and other people about the impact of the world on her and how we can make it better. And I almost feel a bit bad that my job often is that Emma and I will go, I have to put her in a difficult situation. We went down to an emergency room last week with the idea of her job isn't to tell me why it's difficult. I don't understand what's happening here. This is too bright. That noise, those sudden code purple is overwhelming. So she actively has to expose herself to the chaos of life. My job is to write it down, and then together we try and make a plan to make it better.
To make it autism friendly.
To make it autism friendly. Thank you for the plug. Yeah, absolutely.
I think just like I'm ADHD, like I think you are too, right? And so like I this is the first job that I've ever done where I'm spending time at a desk, and like I've actively avoided that my entire life because I just know I'm not as fast as her, I'm not as good, but I'm giving myself more time and more credit and the ability to learn it. But it's still like, no, I can only do 70% at that desk. Like I need to move. I need a task where I can move and do something or interact with someone, and like I think that it's still hard to kind of like, I don't know, educate people on that, because they're like, well, what do you mean? Like, I don't know, go for a little walk to the bathroom, come back. But I'm like I need like the freedom to like, if I'm needing some stimulation, to like go over to that random bookshelf and reorganize it, or like reorganize the cupboard in the kitchen and just have free like, hey, by the way, these are all the areas that are like just public domain for the workplace. If you ever want to reorganize them, I've heard you like that, because I put it in my thing for employability. I was like, needs to organize, and so like I was like, you know, like people, because I can sit at the desk, but sometimes I'm like, oh, I need to like.
Not a little bit of movement.
And
around.
it's also like a smaller task I can feel really satisfied about, and I feel like I've done a good job, and then come back out of it.
Yes. So not everybody's strategy. One person is not going to work for somebody else. So going for a little walk doesn't work for you. It's a kind of, has to be a bit more experiential, a bit more cognitive.
Like even having a chat with somebody, like if you let me go have a chat with somebody randomly to like learn something from them verbally, it can be completely different from what I'm doing, but that just is amazing for me, because I love fun facts, and then my brain feels like, wow, you just learned something today? Go sit at the computer, you'll be right now.
You've earned one dopamine.
Yeah, you've earned one dopamine, now come back. Yeah, exactly, that's what it's like, yeah. Well,
I'm very lucky that in my workplace at Coast FM, I've taken on a more kind of office role there. I've been doing a lot of admin work in the reception and stuff, but I'm very lucky that everything I do, like the hours and what I do, is completely controlled by myself. So there's no set time I have to be at the desk. There's no set time I have to respond to emails or organise things. I can type one out, feel accomplished, go get a drink of water, go for a walk, go down the street and grab a snack, and come back and do another one. Or like I can, it's literally free reign, and I'm so lucky because there's so many workplaces that are not like that at all, that are so accommodating.
Right, so I've got one last question maybe, which is of the different things that you might have noticed that we did as supports. So giving information ahead of time, the kind of inclusion statement, making expectations really clear, managing the sensory environment, etc., etc., etc. Think about a workplace that you'd be going into. What would be the thing you'd be like, that's probably the thing that I is missing or is most important or I'd want for me. It's the flexibility, isn't it?
Flexibility, freedom.
Yeah.
I feel like if I'm more constrained, I kind of lose my interest in like energy to do the task.
Yeah.
When I kind of am able to make up my own sort of order and schedule, that's when I can get things done.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'll arrive at work at 10 o'clock, okay, I'll check emails for half an hour, and then I'll reach out to a couple of organisations to see if they want to come on my show. Okay, that's the first hour done. Then I'll go to the kitchen, make myself a cuppa, have a couple bickies, and then I'll come back at 11:30 and do more of that. All right, now it's 12:15. All right, now it's 12:15. I might wander down to the shopping centre, grab some lunch, and then come back at lunch and come back at 1 and do it again. So
there's a lot in that day, which is like.
And on the show, especially as we were learning and being mentored by Lee, there wasn't quite that flexibility, but there were moments, I guess, it's like if you needed to get up and walk around or sit in the back, that you could at least do that.
Yeah, and there was like a lot of like watching something, listening to somebody, doing your own thing, talking amongst yourselves, so it's like breaking it up. It's not just we're sitting here, it was like different,
so
talk,
we
work
have a
together.
phrase for that, which is how you teach, which is something that Helen talked about when she was on the radio, which is called I do, we do, you do, is the teaching technique. So I do is the person who role models what it is, so you have to sit there, you're not put under pressure, you just get to see what it looks like. And then you have a go at doing it together. Again, it's like, let's practice, but again, with coaching, with support, and then the idea afterwards, which is the interview, is you're on your own now.
Yeah.
Kind of idea. So interesting you noticed that process.
I was kind of struggling in the internship for like the first few weeks, just not feeling really successful, and I felt like it was like on my first day, they were kind of just like, hey, so this person has started doing this Excel spreadsheet. Can you look at all the names in there and try to find an email for them and some details you've popped in there? And like, I've never really used Excel. I know how to do like double tap and then you write. But it was kind of like, I felt like because I wasn't shown also what was useful. Like, what if I can't find their emails? I don't want to like keep checking in 100 times to be like, hey, I can't find that one. Hey, I can't find that one. Hey, I couldn't find their specific one, but there's a company one. Do I just put that in? What information is useful? And then like yesterday, instead, the like my kind of leader for my area, she like sat down, she was like, hey, so we're just going to open up like a Word document, I'm going to create this grid for you, and these are going to be like just some data entries on how many people have viewed these websites for this show, like another show, and we like made it, like she made it, and then like we did it together, and then she did walk away and I just finished it, and I finished it in like maybe like an hour less, and it was so quick, and I felt like, oh cool, like I did this one.
You feel successful.
Yeah, it felt really good, and that continued for the whole day. I ended up doing like 4 pages of work on another thing.
It's so much better to be shown than to be told.
Yeah, being told, I'm like,
was there anything, just on that same question, was there anything that you would pick up and say, yeah, that's a thing that I really valued or would want in a future employment space?
We talk about just in the assembly or in general?
Something that you would have experienced in the assembly that you say, yes, that was something which I valued that I would like people to take forward.
Well, I think I'm a bit of a kinesthetic lad, but like I do learn a lot by actually physically doing. I do like kind of like being flexible and kind of like moving around, and in my internship there was like a lot of different things I could do, which was really nice. So I could kind of like structure my day, kind of like I'd be in the control room for this amount, I'd be on for this amount, and then I'd go back up to the office and kind of just learning about the scheduling on this amount. And there was like a kind of the learning thing, the you do, we do, all that stuff. So when I was doing the scheduling and learning about the scheduling system and how everything is kind of like how resources are allocated and all that, first I was told we went through the information together. I was like, oh, so this is the thing we use, this is what all the colors mean, these are all the fractions, this is what this means. And it was very kind of like exhausting learning at first. Kind of like, it was like I was like kind of getting it, but not completely getting it. And then we were testing the program out together, because there was like this kind of, we had to test, just see if there was any improvements that could be made to the website, not the website, the software. We did it together. That was a big improvement. I felt like that was good, and like us doing it together was really good. And then eventually, I was given a mock weekly schedule for a couple of different productions that she told me to kind of, okay, you have all this information, just schedule this into the software and we'll see how you do. And I was told I could kind of just listen to stuff while doing that. Like I listened to music, I listened to podcasts,
Yeah, nice.
I just kind of like do it at my own pace.
Yeah.
And that was really helpful, being able to
Fantastic. Yeah,
kind of
that's
doing
good.
it myself, and also kind of given the freedom to just kind
Yeah.
of listen to stuff and just kind of.
And again, what you won't know is
Yeah.
that day one at Macquarie, there was quite a full schedule of activities that we had to get through.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it was like, there's just too much there, and we need a little less, like, of just looking at a PowerPoint and a bit more doing. So day two, we were like, we're going to do half as much, but do more practical stuff as well. So that idea of wanting to get in and do stuff and learning on the job, as they speak, as they say, that sort of stuff. So we're quite quickly into the radio studio, that kind of stuff, knowing that people came alive then, didn't they? Immediately people were like, I want to do a voice, or I want to do this.
Yeah, that was
it makes
awesome.
it so much more fun.
I've never been in a radio studio before, so that was a pretty awesome.
Actually, I reckon I
news.
see you in radio. Yeah.
You reckon I could do it?
Yeah,
There's a feature
actually,
there.
there is an opening at Coast FM. I think you'd be great.
Oh, I heard they're looking for volunteer presenters.
Yeah.
That would be great fun.
Yeah.